Fortinet has issued an urgent warning about two critical vulnerabilities that directly impact FortiCloud SSO authentication on multiple Fortinet products. This video is sponsored by Stonefly. More on that at the end of the video. These flaws, tracked as CVE-2025-59718 and CVE-2025-59719, allow attackers to bypass authentication entirely by abusing weaknesses in how SAML assertions are validated. In practice, it means an attacker can craft a malicious SAML response that looks legitimate enough to fool the device into granting full administrative access without ever supplying a password or possessing valid credentials. The core issue lies in cryptographic signature validation. Instead of enforcing strict and consistent verification of SAML signatures, the affected devices accept improperly signed or tampered SAML assertions. This effectively turns the SSO flow into a trust-based handshake that can be spoofed with the right crafted payload. In real-world terms, an attacker doesn't need to break encryption or steal credentials. They just need to send the right structured SAML message, and the device treats them as an authenticated administrator. Once inside, the attacker gains complete control, configuration changes, VPN provisioning, firewall policy manipulation, user account creation, and remote access to sensitive network paths. These vulnerabilities affect FortiOS, FortiProxy, FortiWeb, and FortiSwitch Manager when FortiCloud SSO login is enabled. Many organizations turn on FortiCloud login for centralized access, believing it simplifies management. But once enabled, it becomes an exposed authentication surface that attackers can directly target over the network. What makes this more serious is that SSO flaws bypass every protective mechanism downstream: multi-factor authentication, strong passwords, IP restrictions, or admin role segregation. None of those controls trigger if the SAML authentication is completely hijacked upstream. Fortinet revealed that these were not isolated issues, but part of a broader patch bundle that also addressed other authentication weaknesses, such as a password change process that failed to enforce proper verification and a hash-based bypass that could allow unauthorized users to escalate privileges. When multiple identity-related bugs show up at the same time, it signals that adversaries may already be probing these components for chaining opportunities. An attacker exploiting the SSO bypass can silently alter firewall rules to exfiltrate traffic, inject malicious forwarding policies, or disable critical threat prevention engines. They can plant web shells on management interfaces, modify logging behavior to hide their presence, or leverage the access to pivot deeper into internal assets protected behind the appliance. These aren't hypothetical risks. Fortinet appliances are high-value targets for APT actors, and authentication bypass vulnerabilities have previously been exploited in the wild within days of disclosure. Fortinet's immediate recommendation is for administrators to completely disable FortiCloud SSO login until patched firmware is installed. The company has already released fixed versions across all affected products, and organizations are urged to apply updates without delay. Because SAML-based attacks do not leave obvious forensic traces, administrators should manually review logs for suspicious login events, unexpected configuration edits, or new administrative accounts they did not create. A full audit of recent changes is essential because an attacker with admin privileges can make deep, persistent modifications that survive routine maintenance. Organizations should also review their identity integration posture. Many networks implicitly trust SSO flows without enforcing strong validation, but this incident highlights why cryptographic verification must be mandatory and uncompromising. Any component that validates SAML needs strict signature checks, certificate pinning, and enforcement of correct issuer, audience, and timestamp parameters. Security teams should also consider segmenting management interfaces behind VPN requirements and restricting access to known administrative IP ranges to reduce exposure to external SAML-based attacks. As with prior Fortinet advisories, this disclosure underscores a recurring theme. Authentication layers remain one of the most valuable targets for threat actors. When authentication breaks, everything beneath it collapses. The FortiCloud SSO flaws offer attackers a direct route past an organization's perimeter defenses and into the heart of its network management infrastructure. The urgency of this patch cycle cannot be overstated. And now a word from our sponsor. Get a 56 TB, fully air-gapped, and immutable VM backup and disaster recovery appliance. Half price. Contact sales at stonefly.com for details. Subscribe for more cybersecurity news. Thank you for watching.